Hey, Game Trade Media, Rick here with Alex from Mayfair Games. He's brought us a new game he wants to show us. What do you got?
Absolutely. So this is Riverboat. This will be out in the Essen time frame, which is late October. It'll be out in the U.S. a little later than that. It's brand new from our Lookout partners, and specifically from Michael Kiesling.
All right.
Spiel des Jahres winner. If you like Tikal or Torres or Vikings, this is great designer, and we're super excited to have this come into our stable. So
Nice.
The game is basically about being a farmer in the upper Mississippi, so Minnesota, Wisconsin area.
Okay.
You're growing crops and basically shipping them down the Mississippi River.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's a resource management of sorts.
It is. It's got a kind of an interesting mix of things. It's a little bit of kind of area management. There's not really area control. You have, for example, this is your field that you'll be planting things into and then harvesting. There's a bit of a race mechanism in the sense that we have river boats that we'll want to put our things onto, but that's kind of finite resource.
Okay.
And then at the end of and then we also have some scoring opportunities that'll come up throughout the game. There are the game only lasts 4 rounds.
Oh, interesting.
But as part of those 4 rounds, there are going to be 5 phases that you'll participate in.
Okay.
And similar to some other classic games, you'll find that what happens is you'll choose an action which will let you go first in a phase.
Okay.
That will give you a small bonus, but everyone will participate in the phase. So if this were a 2-player game, I'd say, hey, I'd like to go first in the first phase. And you'd say, hey, maybe you want to go first in the 3rd phase. I would say, hey, I'll go second. You'll take the 5th phase, and then I'll go 4th. And that determines who's going to go first or the order of play within those phases. But the steps themselves are pretty simple. The first thing you'll do is harvest, or is to prepare your land.
Okay.
So you'll have a deck of cards that correspond to these 5 colors. So for example, if I flip up this tells me put one of my workers in one of the yellow fields actually this is the tan field, so one of those fields there.
Okay.
I flip up another one that says I'll put it into the white field here. So we'll do that. Didn't want to put one in that field either. Another white one, so we'll put one here, and so on. Now, this may seem a little chaotic or a little random, but one of the really interesting parts of this game is the ability to mitigate all of these kind of things by use of money. So at any point I flip up a card and I go, you know what, I really don't want this. I'd rather this be back over here on this color. I can spend a coin and place my worker, ignore that, and place my worker anywhere that I want.
Interesting.
So money management is really important in this game to be able to kind of make those small little tweaks here and there to overcome what might otherwise be a non-optimal play, as it were. But that'll be phase 1. We'll actually continue until we have 8 of these workers here on the board. So let's just say we ended up with something like this as my plays. Like that. There we go. So the second phase that will happen is we're actually going to now plant crops.
Okay.
We have these tiles to work with. And of course, we mentioned that everyone always has a benefit if you go first. And so, for example, in this phase, if I go first, I'm just going to get a coin, an extra coin for having taken this action as first. And then I'm going to get first choice of these 1, 2, or 3 hex tiles. So I have a nice spot right here that I can put one of these 3 hexes. So let's go ahead and grab this, and what to do is just put that underneath the workers that I have placed in the previous round.
Nice.
And I'll continue to do this. And some of these tiles, the larger ones, are worth points right away.
Okay.
And we'll continue to do that until I have all of my workers standing on crops, like so.
All right.
Now, this will be, and actually you should have one more because that's just the way it is. There we go, because we'll have 8 out from the first round.
Okay.
3rd round, we jump into, and we're going to start shipping some stuff. So whoever goes first in this round, which would be you decide which crops you'd like to harvest and which riverboat you'd like to put them on. There's one of each of these capacities from 1 to 7, a couple of 2s, a couple of 3s, and they all have to be the same. So I could say I'm going to harvest those 3, 4, 5, 6 wheat.
Wow.
And I'll put that on the 6
the
riverboat
6.
right here. So we'll just tag that up onto my harbor here. These go back in my supply so I can replace them out again next week. This will give me some immediate benefits.
Okay.
So in this case, I actually get one of these nifty little estate features. We can talk about those later. But more importantly, this is potentially 6 points at the end of the game.
Okay.
But one of the kind of interesting mechanisms that is hiding in this game is our Harbor Master. By you going first, you get to move your Harbor Master on your mat 1 step. And many of these lower value boats will also let you move your Harbor Master some number of steps. Harbor Master is important because, number one, if he doesn't get to or pass your Riverboat by the end of the game, you get no points for your boat.
Because it didn't get launched off.
Didn't get out. Harbor Master didn't let it go.
Ah.
And if you are not the furthest on the Harbor Master track, so one player will be furthest, everyone else will be less so. If you are not the furthest on the track, all of your riverboats are half value.
Wow.
So it's a little bit of a race going on there.
Yeah.
Now, there are other mechanisms by which you don't have to compete for this. But again, if you do, it becomes really important that you're focusing on taking actions that might be optimal for shipping, but allows you to move your Harbor Master quickly to get them past that. So that's phase 3, where we're putting stuff onto boats.
All right.
Step 4, we have these opportunity tiles, which are simply opportunities during the game to score. So for example, I might say, hey, I would like this one, which basically gives me 5 victory points and moves my Harbor Master 2. And I don't score it right away, I simply put that here for now.
Okay.
And this also does give me an immediate benefit in game right now. So in this case, I would get to put one of my workers into New Orleans. Now what does that mean? Very simply, the guys in New Orleans are basically workers that you have sent back off to New Orleans to get business for you. Okay. So you can't put them into fields anymore. You've lost that ability, and so you have to be careful about that.
Right.
But at the end of every turn, they're going to be worth a point. And at the end of the game, there are some big points that you can earn if you have the most.
So they're getting you some influence and business partners. I get it.
And then during the 5th phase, you'll be able to take your workers, which you have over there. You'll be able to take one of your surveyors and trigger scoring on any of the scoring elements you have. For example, I had taken that opportunity tile earlier in the game. I now put one on here, and I get my 5 points and my 2 steps on the Harbor Master track. And then you also have these estate features that we mentioned earlier when you get them through boats and whatnot. Barns and wells of which will actually sit on a tile like that and will score you when you score them by placing a surveyor on them. You'll get 1 point for every field, every crop in a contiguous field of that crop that the well is in. Barns actually sit on the board, and when you score them by placing a surveyor on them, they're going to score you 2 points for the crop that is most represented in the 6 hexes around it.
So if it was mostly corn.
So right now that would be worth 6 points for my 3 corn that I have there.
Interesting.
And that's the game. You'll play that 4 times.
That's one round. At the end of every round, do you clear this board, or does it stay
stays
and continues to populate?
Indeed. So the crops never go away. You'll always be planting a new land every turn.
We don't want to cause a Dust Bowl effect.
No. We want to keep everything nice and stable. Healthy husbandry is good here. So your board continues to expand out, and there are some bonuses that you can get throughout the game. If you get 9 or more of a crop, you'll be able to take one of these estate features for free. At the end of the game, if you cover all of one color group, that's also going to be worth 7 points. Nice. End of the game is going to be the ships that you are able to score, half or otherwise. Gold is all worth a point itself. There's an area control. Person with the most people in New Orleans in 2nd and 3rd. Some points that you've earned through the game through the tiles and your opportunity tiles. So there's a lot of different paths to be able to get points. So you can focus on the shipping, you can focus on the opportunities, and gold is something that, again, there's a lot of ways to manipulate. For example, if you didn't like those opportunity tiles, you could pay a gold, go into the deck, and take the exact one you want.
What?
Gold is huge.
You're right.
So money is this way of kind of taking a little of this chaos and being able to very targeted. You may not be able to do that on every action you do, but boy, there are ways to really be able to get in there and make your game tweak just the way you want it to be.
One of the things I find that's very interesting is you're literally playing 3 games in some capacity, but they're all interconnected into one larger game, because this is a different the influence that you're playing on this board is its own little game. The farming and the crop building here is its own game. Oh, but wait a minute, we're going to bring back over this game because we got our board because we want to get those ships over here, and then all the crops that we have available to us are on this one. And so this 5 points tallies on this board.
Immediately tally on that. Correct.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot in one game.
It flows together thematically.
Yeah,
Basically,
absolutely.
you plant stuff, you harvest
Yeah.
stuff, you put them on a boat, you score points.
Absolutely.
But there's all these really nice little nuanced little corners to explore of, is there an opportunity tile that
Right.
you want to go chasing down? Is there, do we have the money to be able to go after and
Right.
tweak some of these things? Even to the crops, one of the things we didn't mention was, again, if you don't like the crops that are out, the way in that round you pay a coin and you just go fishing into the unused tiles, the ones and the twos, and say, nope, that's what I want. A
Interesting.
lot of
There's
really
strategy.
interesting ways you can kind of dig in under just what's been presented to you. But of course, you can't do that every time.
No.
So you have to be really careful about targeting. Is this the right time to maybe spend
Absolutely.
that coin and go fishing for what I want?
That's cool.
So it's a great game. We're looking forward to having it out. It'll be out again end of October, November in the U.S.
Okay.
And
What's the price point on something like that?
$70.
That's not bad.
Not at all. No, with all the wood and the tiles that you'll see here, it presents really well on the table. There's a lot of pieces and a lot of things to look at. So it's we're really excited about it.
It's a 2 to 4 player game.
2 to 4.
Takes what, about an hour and a half ish?
Yeah, that's reasonable. It'll take a little longer probably your first time through, but once the mechanisms aren't that difficult, and so once you have a feel for when you want to go diving into a deck or grab something special, all of that flows along pretty well.
And I see on the box it says ages 10 and up. So obviously it's going to be able to pull in a younger player, giving them, it's really going to help them obviously with math, logical, strategic thinking. So a great game to bring your kids to the table and just have a great family night and have a good time, as Mayfair is known to do.
We do try.
That's absolutely true. Thank you, Alex, very much for all your time.
My
I appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thanks so much.
Everybody, make sure you go to your local game store and let them know that when Riverboat hits the water and comes over to your store, you're going to want it, all right? Now, become part of your community, play games, have fun, and we'll see you at the next video.
Don't forget to subscribe to Game Trade Media, leave a like, and comment on what videos you'd like to see next.